Hello, my name is Joanna Danielle. And if you're new to our email list, I want to welcome you. I am the founder of Wounds to Scars, and I'm creator of this community. And every week, I do a video for you, people on my email list. And so I want to welcome you. This series of videos are going to be focused on what are trauma responses. And I'm specifically doing that now because we are leading up to our conference. Every year we have an annual virtual conference in March because it's Women's History Month. And because we work mostly with women in our community, every month our conference is in March. This year, the conference is March 21 to 25th, and it's called Keeping It Real. That's the focus this year because we're going to have real, honest conversation. We're going to dive deep and give you the tools that you need in order to not just cope. We don't want coping. We want to give tools that will enable you, that will help you to thrive in everyday life, in your relationships, in your parenting, in your relationship with yourself, in your spiritual relationship, in your interpersonal relationships. We just want you to thrive because we know that thriving is possible. And one of the things that we're doing this year is we are launching our first ever anthology. That's a collection of stories. And some of the women who have chosen to tell their stories are women in this community. And as I read those stories, they're just, I read them, though I know some of them, I read them on the edge of my seat, still looking forward to what's next, and what's next. So we're launching that at the conference on the Sunday before the conference. You'll be able to have an evening off, listening to these women, music, laughter, fun, and enjoyment. But it's only for those who have signed up for the conference. And it's even a surprise. I've not told anybody yet. So you're the first to know that information. So I'm really hoping that you'll not miss the deadline. The deadline for early bird booking is February 25th. So I'm hoping that you will be one of those who have decided to come in. And the deadline for cutoff, we have a cutoff date in March as well, because this time the accessory for the conference is just going to be so amazing that we need time to be able to execute it well. So I'm hoping you'll be one of them. So I digress because when I start talking about the conference, I can't help myself. But so this year, we're keeping it real. But this series of videos, as I said before, is focused on trauma responses. And one of the trauma responses that I want to talk about is perfectionism. Perfectionism. I used to be so stressed that I'm not a perfectionist. I am a do it person. Not that there are not problems in that, but I am a let us get it done person. Let us just do it. Let's just put it out. And so even sometimes I put things out and somebody will send me a message and says, Joanna, you have a spelling error in that, and that I wasn't dotted, and that T wasn't crossed. You understand what I mean. But I'm not a person who will wait until everything is perfect before I move in some things. All right. Some things you have to pray through and you have to wait, and you have to test, and you have to go through the process of decision making. That's very different than being crippled by inactivity because you can't move. Not because you're making a decision to look at some more steps and to see what's next. But when you're crippled with inactivity and you can't move because everything about it needs to be just so, then we know that that's perfectionism, and that's a trauma response when everything has to be perfect. So, what is that, and how does it become one? Now, it is one rather, because of the things that happen and the coping mechanisms that we've had to develop to cope. The things that we've had to develop to cope, the things that we've been taught to hide, the things that we've been taught to not say. What happens in this house stays in this house. And so sometimes when life was like that, or when life is chaotic, we develop a way of coping that means on the outside, everything has to look perfect. And it's also developed through negative messages that we've heard, like, why can't you be like so and so? You're not good enough. You're never going to amount to anything. Some of those things that people say that are really heartbreaking, that are really hurtful. And when you hear them over and over as a child and they become a part of you, you develop ways of coping with them. I want you to know that this is very different from somebody who takes their time, is a reflector, and wants to be thorough. It's very different from the person who has an inability to move and to make those decisions and do those things that they know will make their life move forward. All right. That's very different from the person who is an active decision maker, thinking through things. Now, I'm sharing this because I want you to be able to have the tools to move. And I know maybe you've heard feel the fear and do it anyway, just step out, or the Nike slogan, just do it. And I know that's easier said than done. But when you practice doing it incrementally, choose one thing that you struggle with and do that thing. You know, do that thing and not overthink it, not tell yourself what people are going to say when they see your thing, when they read your book, um when you go to interview for the promotion, when you ask for a raise, when you decide to parent differently, when you make a decision that this relationship is destructive and it's not serving you anymore, when you put a boundary in place, when you start the business, when you do whatever you do, when you start the ministry, make a decision. Just do one thing every day that's going to propel you in towards your goal. So keep your big goal in mind and do one thing every day that's going to move you forward closer to that goal. Now, I have to warn you, when you're trying to break out of perfectionism, there's going to be a degree of discomfort. There's going to be some discomfort because you're so used to thinking about everything needing to be just so. And now you're going to step out and do one thing, even if it feels messy and it doesn't feel right, because you're training yourself. You're going to train the brain to recognize action. Because what we know, the brain, your brain recognizes, for those who struggle with perfectionism, it recognizes inaction. And so you're training that one step every day, stepping out, is you training your brain to get used to action. And so as you do it, the more you do it and it feels uncomfortable, look after yourself in that discomfort. Do something that's going to help you to feel better, but step out anyway. You know, when I wrote my book, Shattered But Not Broken, some of you have read it. And for those who haven't, you can get it at shatteredbutnotbroken.com. When I wrote my book, it took me months before I published it. I wasn't crippled by perfectionism, but there were a lot of what ifs. And there were lots of processes that I had to go through too. But I have to admit that one of them was what if? What if it's not well received? You know, and until the day came when I felt it was time, let's do it. Because as I said, I'm a doer. But when you make the decision to step out, you have to deal with all the feelings that comes with that, all the discomfort, all the thoughts that are the overthinking, the generalizing, the mind reading, all of them just pour in. And it can be so scary that you might make a decision to go back into your comfort zone of perfectionism and never go out again. But I want you to know that those feelings change. They change, you change, they move on, and you become the person you were meant to be. You did the thing you wanted to do. You'll begin to develop self-confidence, and you'll begin to develop an ability and a trust for self and for your ability to do things that wasn't present before. I hope that as you watch this video, that you'll give yourself permission to step out, feel the discomfort, work your way through it, and do one thing every day that moves you closer to your goal. If you're struggling with what that one thing might be, I want to invite you to sign up to our conference this year, Keeping It Real, where we're looking at a variety of ways trauma impacts our lives and the things that you can do to overcome. I hope that you'll make a decision to make you a priority, and you'll know, and I know admitting and owning something that's uncomfortable causes discomfort. But if that's you, I want you to know that you're not alone. There are many people who struggle with discomfort. There are many people who struggle with perfectionism and worry about what people think about them and should they step out now. But I want you to know that now is a good time to put you first and to deal with those legacies of trauma that you've been trying to work against for your whole life. But I do know this: we don't know what we don't know. And if you're struggling with something and you've been unable to, on your own, get rid of it, we want to help support you in moving forward and living the life that you were meant to live, free from perfectionism and all the other stuff that is encumbered and that stop you from doing what you were supposed to do. I hope that you'll make the decision to do that one thing every day, whatever that one thing is for you, that's going to move you forward. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining. Please like and share this video. Comment below or email me if there's something that you want to know some more about or talk through some more, and I'll be happy to assist you. Take care.